5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Off the Front podcast. Today's show is sponsored by Element. Element is an electrolyte drink mix that comes in easy-to-use packets, each containing 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. And while that may sound like a lot of sodium, you should know that several large scientific studies have been done that suggested that the recommendations given by the FDA, CDC, and the American Heart Association are far too low. The FDA, CDC, and American Heart Association all recommend consuming less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium daily, and actually say that the ideal limit is around 1,500 milligrams per day. But in the 2011 O'Donnell study, O'Donnell reported that those who consume less than 2,000 milligrams of sodium daily are putting themselves at the same risk as those who consume 8,000 milligrams of sodium each day. So basically, what this study was showing was that too little sodium is just as unhealthy as too much sodium. Then think about how much sweat you lose and how many minerals you lose if you live in an area like I do, where over the past 2 months it has been blistering hot outside. In a different 2011 study, it was actually reported that athletes exercising during hot weather report water losses of 4 to 10 liters and sodium losses of 3,500 to 7,000 milligrams, which can obviously cause water and electrolyte deficits. In order to rehydrate, both water and electrolytes are needed. But that same study concluded if rapid recovery is required, and what they defined as rapid recovery was under 24 hours, that, quote, aggressive drinking of fluids and consuming electrolytes should be encouraged to facilitate recovery for subsequent competition. So basically, if it's hot, you're losing a lot of water, a lot of minerals, and you have to aggressively replace those minerals in order to fully rehydrate. And that's why I have been a huge fan of Element since I discovered it earlier this year. Element provides a sugar-free, keto-friendly, gluten-free option made with no artificial ingredients that also happens to taste really good. My favorite flavor is the orange salt, but they also have citrus salt, raspberry salt, and the newest is watermelon salt. If those don't excite you enough, they also have 2 spicy flavors. They have lemon habanero and mango chili, and they have a chocolate salt and an unflavored packet if you feel like getting creative and making your own flavor. Before I discovered Element, I had actually been using another well-known drink mix that is widely seen through the Pro Peloton, but after hearing Lance Armstrong talk about Element and how salty it was, I decided that I should give this a try. So, I ordered a free sample pack from Element, and when it arrived, I tried it and loved it. I loved the flavor, but I also noticed how quickly I felt better. My head felt clear, I felt more recovered, and honestly, the quality of my training on the bike got better overnight. I know that all of that sounds too good to be true, but honestly, I was sold after trying the first one, and I've been using Element every day since then. So give Element a try. They offer a no questions asked refund. If you don't like it, they'll refund your money. You keep the remaining packets, do what you want with them, they will refund your money just like that. So on today's show, it's just me again. I wanted to talk to you about supplements, and specifically I wanted to talk to you about the most exciting supplement that I have found, and that is beta-alanine. But I wanted to go over some notes that I've made about beta-alanine and tell you about my experience with that particular supplement, because this year I tried beta-alanine for the first time and was really impressed with how it worked. Up until this year, I'd never taken a supplement and really thought I can tell this works. But when I took beta-alanine, I could really tell it worked. Beta-alanine is a non-essential amino acid, meaning that our bodies do produce it. Beta-alanine works in conjunction with another non-essential amino acid called L-histidine, and together they produce what is called a dipeptide, meaning a peptide derived from two amino acids, and that dipeptide is called carnosine. Now, for cyclists, supplementing beta-alanine is all about carnosine. And why that's the case is carnosine works to regulate muscle acidosis. More specifically, it works to buffer the excess hydrogen ions that are created as a result of the conversion of glucose into ATP and pyruvate. The result of this conversion is that hydrogen ions are also produced. And as you ride above your lactate threshold, it's the buildup of those hydrogen ions that causes your muscles to become more acidic, which creates the all too familiar burn in your legs. So it stands to reason that if the levels of carnosine can be increased in skeletal muscle, that you might experience a less pronounced burning sensation in your legs and could experience an improvement in your performance. Your body can create and store larger amounts of L-histidine, but the limiting factor in muscle carnosine levels, remember carnosine is the combination of L-histidine and beta-alanine, and the limiting factor of muscle carnosine levels in the skeletal muscle is the amount of beta-alanine that your body can produce. So, it benefits the endurance athlete to supplement beta-alanine. And this idea, this concept of supplementing beta-alanine is actually widely supported by the research that exists on beta-alanine supplementation. Also, it's worth mentioning that while you can consume carnosine directly, the body actually doesn't easily absorb carnosine, so it's been shown to be more effective if you supplement beta-alanine instead of carnosine. When I started digging into the research that exists, I actually found that beta-alanine was one of the most widely researched supplements for endurance athletes and weightlifters, with the research overwhelmingly suggesting that beta-alanine supplementation can increase athletic performance. So in short, beta-alanine combines with L-histidine to create carnosine in your muscles. That carnosine buffers the acidity in the muscle, therefore, you can ride longer, sprint harder by supplementing beta-alanine. And this all is supported by the existing body of research. So let's take a look at what the actual research says about beta-alanine supplementation. The 2006 Harris study says that beta-alanine supplementation can significantly increase skeletal muscle carnosine levels, and that the increase is correlated to improvements in exercise performance. The 2007 Stout study concluded that beta-alanine supplementation delays the onset of neuromuscular fatigue. Also, Stout in 2008 did a study that looked at specifically what they called the elderly, which they had defined as individuals ranging from 55 years old to 92. And what they found in the 2008 study said that 90 days of beta-alanine supplementation may increase physical working capacity by delaying the onset of neuromuscular fatigue in elderly men and women. A really interesting study was done in 2007 by Hill. Their conclusions said the results suggest that a still greater increase can occur in some subjects following 10 weeks of beta-alanine supplementation. And by the end of 4 and 10 weeks, the increase in muscle carnosine levels amounted to 58% and 80% respectively. So this study said that with 10 weeks of beta-alanine supplementation that you could almost double the amount of carnosine in your skeletal muscle. That same study also showed that muscle carnosine levels increased equally in both type 1 and type 2A muscle fibers. The last thing in that study that I thought was interesting was that after 4 weeks of beta-alanine supplementation, participants showed a 13% increase in total work done, and with the additional 6 weeks to get to the 10 weeks of supplementation, participants showed a 16.2% increase in total work done. It's a pretty substantial increase in workload just from taking beta-alanine. And in study after study after study that I came across, all double-blind, placebo-controlled, the gold standard of academic research, in each case, they were showing similar type results. Most of the research that I came across recommended taking 3 to 5 grams of beta-alanine per day. The normal recommended dose that I've seen is to take 3.2 grams of beta-alanine per day. And actually, most commercially available beta-alanine supplements will have a 3.2 gram scoop or either a 1.6 gram scoop that you take twice a day. Before I started taking beta-alanine earlier this year, I wanted to find out also whether or not it was safe. I read a lot of personal accounts of people who had supplemented with beta-alanine, and almost all talk about the tingling that beta-alanine causes. This is called paresthesia, and the research on that says that it's completely harmless, mildly uncomfortable, but is nothing to worry about. It's sort of a flushing of the skin, a tingling of your face, sometimes your hands, sometimes your scalp. It usually takes about 15 minutes to show up and only lasts for a few minutes too and goes away. For cyclists, it's important to know when you take a supplement whether or not that supplement is legal to take. And with beta-alanine, it is legal to take. Beta-alanine is approved for use by USADA, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. Both have approved the use of beta-alanine. So that's what the research says about beta-alanine. I wanted to start off with the science, with the facts, with what the research shows. I am currently working on a PhD, and so I'm fortunate to have access to the academic databases across the country and across the world. And so when I have a question about the effectiveness of something or the safety of something, I have started to look first at what the academic literature says. And so that's why I wanted to start this episode with what the research has shown about beta-alanine. Now I'll tell you about my own experience with beta-alanine. So I started taking beta-alanine in February of 2021, and probably within 4 or 5 days, I started to notice that my legs did not burn. I first noticed it when I was riding the trainer, and I just noticed that when I was producing a certain number of watts that would normally make my legs burn, it just didn't feel the same. It felt better. I was taking the 3.2 grams per day. I was taking Optimum Nutrition's beta-alanine powder. And when I got out on the road, that's when I could really tell a difference, that my legs just didn't burn like they used to. What I noticed was that I could hold an intensity for a longer duration than I could in the past. When I was doing a longer pull on the front, I could hold that speed much easier than I could in the past. And while I honestly don't know the exact numbers, what my percentage increase in wattages was from taking beta-alanine, I know that there was an increase. The speed of my rides is consistently higher. The watts are consistently higher, and that is the only supplement I'm taking. It allows me to ride harder more often, and also by being able to ride harder and increasing that intensity consistently, I get a larger training stimulus, thus allowing my legs to eventually get stronger. If anything, in terms of negative aspects of beta-alanine, the only thing I can think of is that I've had to be more aware of the training loads that I'm putting on my muscles. I feel like I have to recover smarter now because I'm able to maybe sneak in a little extra hard work that maybe before I couldn't have handled. Now I can, and so I feel like I have to be a little smarter with my recovery also. And so that's it, really. I wanted to make this show just about beta-alanine and carnosine and talk about how supplementing beta-alanine could potentially benefit you and your cycling performance or your running performance. I did run across several studies that showed that beta-alanine also worked and was an effective supplement for runners. So don't think that it only applies to cyclists. If you are curious about whether or not beta-alanine can help your cycling performance or your weightlifting performance or your running performance, I would recommend talking with your doctor about it. Make sure that they don't have any issues with that. Make sure you're good to go and give it a try. Again, I chose to go with the Optimum Nutrition. I really can't speak for any other brands. I have had a good experience with that one. So if you want to try that, go ahead. I do know others that have tried Thorne and other brands too, and they've had positive results also. So I'm not suggesting that Optimum Nutrition is the only one that works. There are definitely others that are less expensive. If you do try beta-alanine supplementation, I want to know what you think. Let me know if you notice an increase in performance. Let me know if you notice that on rides that you normally do, that you don't notice the burn in your legs quite as much as you used to. I definitely want to hear back from you. If you have positive results from taking beta-alanine, let me know what you think. Or if you took it and you think that it was a waste of money, let me know that too. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. And that's it. That is episode 2 in the books. Before I go, I just want to ask that if you are enjoying the show, to subscribe, leave a review, leave a 5-star review if you like. If you don't, that's fine also. But let me know what you think about the show. I promise that, like I said, the next one will not just be me. I have some really cool guests lined up. So get outside, get faster, get stronger, and we'll talk soon.